Dear colleagues, heads of state, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. We continue to work in an expanded format, and before we do that, we need to approve the agenda. Everyone knows it. Question: are there any comments, suggestions, amendments in this regard? No. Then we proceed from the fact that the agenda has been agreed. Thank you. If you will allow me, I will open our work. Continue our work rather. We will consider topical issues of BRICS activities, primarily in the economic and humanitarian spheres. And we also deserve reports from the heads of the relevant structures of our association. These are the President of the New Development Bank, Mrs. Dilma Rousseff, the Chairman of the Business Council, Mr. Katarin, the Chairman of the Interbank Cooperation Mechanism, Mr. Shuvalev, and the Chairman of the Women's Business Alliance, Ms. Nestorova. World trade and the global economy as a whole, as we have just stated, are undergoing significant changes in a narrow format. On the positive side, the center of business activity is gradually shifting towards emerging markets. A multipolar model is being formed, which is launching a new wave of growth, primarily at the expense of the countries of the Global South and East, and, of course, the BRICS states. However, a significant crisis potential remains. And it's not just the ever-increasing geopolitical tensions, but the fact that the chronic growth of the debt burden in developed countries continues, the practice of unilateral sanctions, protectionism, and unfair competition is expanding. And as a direct result, there is a fragmentation of international trade, the market of direct investment, foreign investment, especially in developing countries. The volatility of valuable commodities is at a high level. Due to the increase in inflation, citizens' incomes and corporate profits are falling in many countries. The implementation of the tasks of the Unsustainable Development Agenda for the period up to 2030th year is also stalling. Moreover, the least developed countries suffer the most from the unstable conjuncture of the world economy and, first of all, from food and energy inflation. As for the economies of the BRICS countries, on the whole, they demonstrate sufficient stability, thanks to the responsible macroeconomic and monetary policy of our governments. And in most of the states of the association, faster rates of development are expected in the medium term. Thus, the average growth of the BRICS economies in the 24th and 25th years will be, according to preliminary estimates, 3 and 8%, with an increase in world GDP, 2, according to preliminary estimates, by 3 and 3/10%. The share of the BRICS countries in terms of purchasing power parity at the end of the 24th year will be 36 and 7/10%, which confidently exceeds the share of the countries of the family group. This share will be 30%. By 30% it was at the end of the 23rd year. Well, in the 24th it will be a little higher. The trend towards maintaining the leading positions of the BRICS in the global economy seems to be strengthening, primarily due to objective factors such as population growth, capital accumulation, urbanization, and an increase in labor productivity, accompanied by technological innovations. And in order to maximize the potential of our growing economies and take full advantage of the new wave of global economic growth, our countries need to intensify cooperation in such areas as technology, education, efficient resource development, trade and logistics, finance and insurance, as well as multiply the volume of capital investments. In this regard, we propose to create a new BRICS investment platform, which would become a powerful tool for supporting our national economies, as well as providing financial resources to the country of the global South and East. I would like to note that this year, our association has managed to coordinate a number of initiatives aimed at solving critical common tasks. In particular, we are talking about increasing the stability of supply chains and added value, countering protectionism, developing electronic commerce, and establishing contacts through special economic zones. We believe that the launch of a special mechanism for consultations of the BRICS countries on the World Trade Organization issues will contribute to the development of a common position on the formation of fairer rules of the game in the global economy and the reform of the international financial system. It is necessary to continue to jointly promote balanced approaches to issues related to the transition of the world economy to low-emission development models, and in every possible way to counteract attempts to use the climate agenda to eliminate competitors from the market, especially in emerging markets. The BRICS Contact Group on Climate and Sustainable Development is closely engaged in all of this. We consider the BRICS partnership initiatives on carbon markets and the climate research platform promising. The State Association is increasing cooperation on the subject of expanding barrier-free e-commerce. The dynamic growth of sales on the Internet leads to an increase in commercial disputes that require prompt and fair consideration. The Russian chairmanship proposed to establish mutual information on the practices of launching online dispute resolution services in e-commerce in order to create joint framework procedures for pretrial dispute resolution in the future. I would also like to remind you of our initiatives to establish the BRICS Arbitration Investment Center and develop a convention on the settlement of investment disputes, which will increase the security of mutual investments. There are currently more than 2,500 special economic zones operating in the entire BRICS space. We believe that it is important to establish direct links between the management teams of such territories with preferential regimes, so that they can exchange best practices on building logistics hubs, localizing industrial production, and ensuring favorable globally competitive conditions for investors. A number of BRICS countries are among the world's largest producers of cereals, legumes, and oilseeds. In this regard, it was proposed to open a BRICS grain exchange, which will contribute to the formation of fair and predictable price indicators for products and raw materials, taking into account its special role in ensuring food security. The implementation of this initiative will help protect national markets from negative external interference, speculation, and attempts to cause artificial food shortages. Over time, it would be possible to think about the transformation of the grain exchange into a full-fledged commodity exchange. The contribution of the BRICS countries to ensuring global energy security is undeniable. The association includes both key producers and consumers of energy resources. The joint energy research platform brings good returns. Russia is also in favor of expanding cooperation in the field of subsoil use. In July, the first meeting of the BRICS Geological Platform was held in Moscow, which made it possible to intensify the exchange of experience in the field of exploration and extraction of minerals. We see the expediency in creating a separate BRICS platform for precious metals as well as for diamonds. After all, this market is heavily regulated by various trade barriers. The Kimberley Process Certification Scheme is included in the Universal Scheme. The BRICS International Center for Anti-Monopoly Law and Policy has proven itself well. We consider it necessary to further develop this area, including launching an interstate platform for fair competition. I would like to note the successful holding of a meeting of the heads and experts of the BRICS tax services in Moscow in September. colleagues put forward useful ideas for the development of a BRICS tax cooperation website and an online platform for digital solutions of tax services. For its part, Russia has proposed to establish a permanent rotating tax secretariat. The issue of increasing transport connectivity between our countries deserves special attention, as it provides additional opportunities for the growth and diversification of mutual trade. This year, a regular dialogue has been launched within the framework of BRICS on this topic. Subgroups on transport and logistics have been formed within the framework of the Business Council. Such promising projects as the formation of a permanent BRICS logistics platform, the compilation of an overview of transport routes, the opening of an electronic communication platform for transport, the establishment of a reinsurance pool are being discussed. Noticeable progress has been made in BRICS cooperation in the field of healthcare, which was facilitated by the October meeting of relevant ministers. She set a long-term vector of work in the field of healthcare. A nuclear medicine group has been formed to develop cooperation in the production of innovative radiological drugs and diagnostics. The first BRICS Forum on Nuclear Medicine, held in St. Petersburg, was also useful. A comprehensive system of early warning of the risks of mass infectious diseases has been launched. Russia has also put forward an initiative to establish a BRICS research network on public health, which is designed to strengthen national health systems through the exchange of best practices. It is important to further strengthen the capacity of the BRICS Vaccine Center and the Tuberculosis Research Network. Separately, I would like to note the release of the first issue of the BRICS Medical Journal. From now on, doctors, scientists, and medical students have the opportunity to publish their innovative ideas. BRICS cooperation in the scientific and technical field makes a significant contribution to efforts to bridge the global digital divide, to the development of artificial intelligence and other new technologies. I will draw attention to the Russian proposal to create a BRICS alliance in the field of artificial intelligence. Its purpose is to regulate artificial intelligence technologies, including to prevent their illegal use. In Russia, the business community has adopted a code of ethics in this area, which our BRICS partners and other countries can join. We welcome the agreements on common approaches to the formation of a system of scientometric databases, on expanding the spheres of interaction and the number of participants of the network university. I mentioned the decision to establish the BRICS Geographers' Day, which will now be celebrated annually on August 18th. A scientific expedition in the reserve of the Krasnoyarsk territory of Caucasia in Russia was already timed to this date. In the year of the Russian presidency, we placed special emphasis on the development of contacts in the cultural and humanitarian sphere. The International Film Festival and the Festival of Culture of the BRICS countries were successfully held. The Alliance of Folk Dance Culture and the Association of Film Schools were created. The practice of holding large-scale BRICS sports games has proven itself well. This year, Kazan hosted the 5th such games in 27 sports. They were organized in an open format for the first time. Athletes took part in the competition not only from the Union State, but also from more than 80 other countries of the world. These games have clearly shown that Russia has a modern infrastructure base, human resources potential, for holding major world-class sporting events. In order to further develop the BRICS Games, we propose to develop a special interstate program and establish a coordinating body that would be engaged in the implementation of projects in the field of physical culture and sports. This year, the interparliamentary dialogue has noticeably intensified within the framework of the association. A new format of meetings of the chairmen of the committees on international affairs of legislative bodies has been created. Broad prospects are opening up in cooperation between regions, cities, and municipalities. During the thematic forums held in Moscow, Nizhny Novgorod, and Kazan, it was possible to discuss the prospects for cooperation in the field of sustainable development of municipalities, effective management of urban economy and infrastructure, and increasing the availability of urban services. Dear colleagues, I thank you for your attention and invite colleagues to speak out on the indicated results of work on the economic and humanitarian tracks. And I am the first to give the floor to the Chairman of the People's Republic of China. Please. Dear President Putin, dear colleagues, congratulations to everyone on the opening of the summit. I am grateful to President Putin and the representative Russian country for the excellent organization of our work and the hospitality provided. I am convinced that thanks to joint efforts, our summit will make it possible to outline clear guidelines for cooperation of the big BRICS, to open a new chapter of creativity and interaction of the Global South. Today, somehow, the world is entering a new period of corpulence and transformation. We are facing a fateful choice. May our world be so lively. I will turn it over into the channel of peaceful development. It reminds me of a book by the Russian writer Nevsky. What to Do, in which the main character showed exceptional firm will and determination in achieving his goals. That's the kind of fortitude we really need today. The more complex our situation is, the more important it is to carry out a collective struggle, showing unflinching will, avant-garde courage, and the ability to respond to changes, thereby opening up a new perspective for the high-quality development of cooperation. It is important to promote the BRICS peace agenda in the name of protecting common security. Humanity lives in a community and Terry is my safety. And only the implementation of the concept of common, integrated, joint and sustainable security will allow us to embark on the path of universal security. In the context of the prolongation of the Ukrainian crisis, China, Brazil, and the countries of the Global South have created a group of friends of the world. It is aimed at uniting flattering voices in support of peace. It is important that on the basis of the principles of no training, the conflict breaks down, its spread to third parties, avoiding escalation of their actions and refusing to pour oil on the fire corresponds to the soonest de-escalation of the situation. At the same time, the constant deterioration of the humanitarian crisis in the Gaza sector and the outbreak of a new war in Lebanon reminds of the ongoing escalation of conflicts between the parties concerned. It is important, as soon as possible, to achieve a ceasefire and killings, to make tireless efforts for a full, just and consistent settlement of the Palestinian question. It is important to promote the innovation agenda in the BRICS to stimulate high-quality development. Indeed, a new round of scientific and technological revolution and industrial transformations is rapidly unfolding, which requires us to keep up with the times and cultivate productive forces of a new quality. And there, in China, the BRICS Center for Cooperation in the Development of Artificial Intelligence Technologies was created. We are ready to deepen innovative cooperation with all parties, revealing the potential of artificial intelligence. China will also create BRICS international centers for the study of deep-sea resources. And we will also create a Chinese Center for Cooperation on special economic zones of the BRICS. The Chinese Center of Industrial Competencies of the BRICS countries. We will also build a BRICS cooperation network in the field of digital ecosystems. We look forward to the active participation of all our partners, and that, I am sure, will allow us to jointly bring our cooperation within the framework of the BRICS to a qualitatively new level. It is important to promote the green agenda of the BRICS in the name of sustainable development. Green development is a sign of our time. All BRICS member countries should actively integrate into the global trend of green and low-carbon transformation. China's high-quality production, primarily in the field of electrical engineering, lithium battery and photovoltaic products, give an important impetus to global green development. And using its advantages, the Chinese side is ready to expand cooperation with the state members of the BRICS in such areas as the green industry, clean energy, and the development of mineral resources in a green way. With the aim of greening the industrial chain, strengthening green cooperation, and improving the quality of our development. It is important to promote a fair BRICS agenda in the name of improving the global governance system. The pace of global governance reforms has long been inconsistent with the rapidity of changes in the alignment of international forces. Therefore, we should adhere to the principle of genuine multilateralism and the concept of joint discussion, joint construction and joint use lead the reform of the global governance system based on the concept of equality, justice, openness and inclusiveness, increase the representation and the right of the ear of the countries of the Global South. Dear colleagues, in the new situation, the relevance of the reform of the international financial system will only increase. In this regard, the BRICS member states should play a leading role in deepening financial and economic cooperation, strengthening the connectivity of the financial infrastructure, maintaining a high level of financial security, increasing the influence and authority of the new BRICS Development Bank, so that the international financial system better adapts to changes in the global economic architecture. It is also important to promote the BRICS cultural and humanitarian agenda, in order to promote the harmonious coexistence of different civilizations. The BRICS countries are united by deep histories and brilliant cultures. Inclusive coexistence of different civilizations should be actively encouraged. The exchange of views and experience on public administration issues should be constantly strengthened. The potential of BRICS cooperation in education, sports, art, and so on should be consistently revealed, in order to inject a new driving force in the development of BRICS through civilizational mutual enrichment. Last year, I issued an initiative on the state of the mechanism of cooperation in the field of digital education within our association. I am very glad that this mechanism has already been created and has started its activities. On this basis, the Chinese side will promote a plan to increase the opportunities of the CIS countries in the field of digital education. And over the next 5 years, 10 research centers will be created in the CIS countries. And 1,000 quotas will be provided for training courses for managers in the field of education, as well as teachers and students, in order to strengthen cultural and humanitarian universities. BRICS. The tragedy of the river. China is ready to open new horizons of high-quality cooperation of the big BRICS together with all partners, in the name of jointly building a community of a common destiny of Chavez. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear Mr. Chairman. China's opinion is extremely important for our association, and not only for ours. Therefore, I am sure that everyone listened attentively to your speech. Please give the floor to the President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Mr. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'd like at today's meeting, which is an excellent opportunity for consultations, strengthening mutual understanding on current international issues. I would also like to emphasize that we look forward to receiving a detailed report from Mrs. Dilma Rousseff regarding cooperation in the banking sector. Ladies and gentlemen, Egypt attaches great importance to strengthening the multipolar system. In order to strengthen the achievements of peace and development, to ensure the preservation of peace and stability in the world, the severe crises that have now overwhelmed the whole world in recent years lead to the opinion that some doubt the current multipolar system between them. Ladies and gentlemen, what is happening in the world? The world order is suffering from many problems and crises. Political crises, which are economic problems, lead to problems in the security sphere. Disadvantages of financing valuable in order to achieve development goals increase the cost of resources. Therefore, we in Egypt attach priority to taking significant steps to ensure the financing of development goals in developing countries through the creation of reliable mechanisms and tools, ensuring the sustainable development of developing countries. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to mention that last June Egypt hosted the first meeting of the new Development Bank, which is aimed at developing public-private partnership cooperation and attracting additional investments in the BRICS market. And it took place in the light that we attach special importance to the functioning of this bank, to support development projects in developing countries, especially in the field of transport, clean energy infrastructure, the digital sector and urbanization. Ladies and gentlemen, the BRICS Association has worked in its current work to ensure the sustainability of the multipolarity regime. From this point of view, Egypt confirms its readiness to strengthen cooperation and coordination with the countries of the association for the purposes of various international platforms, including in such areas as the climate agenda, strengthening food security, digitalization, and the field of educational science. We are also committed to further work in order to ensure financial cooperation, transition to national currencies, ensuring financial payments in national currencies, as well as interaction in the areas of digitalization, interaction with the BRICS Business Council, and strengthening public-private partnership cooperation, based on the BRICS Interbank cooperation mechanisms. Ladies and gentlemen, before I finish my speech, I would like to reiterate Egypt's readiness and commitment, and its aspiration to strengthen multilateral cooperation in order to ensure security and stability, prosperity and sustainability of the economy, and the realization of goals. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Mr. President. especially for the fact that we have just discussed the situation in the region on the sidelines. You have told us in such detail. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Now we have the President of Brazil in touch, and I am pleased to give him the floor. Please give the floor to Mr. Dosal.
Dear Mr. President of Russia Putin, I would like to thank you for that victory, for the organization that is being held now, and even though I am not personally in Kazan, I would like to express that I am very glad, and I would like to thank your support for the candidacy of hosting the G20 in Brazil, for the initiatives. Also for the initiatives that we have carried out. Our shares. Our countries are trying to fight hunger, inequality, and the alliance against the fight against hunger and poverty. I invite all of you to participate. This initiative, it started in the Big 20, but I invite all of you. BRICS also deals with climate change issues. And there is no doubt that historically developed countries are responsible for the fact that everyone is suffering now, in addition to the fact that they promised to reduce 100 billion emissions and did not fulfill them. It is necessary to fulfill some very urgent issues. We have one planet, and the future of our planet depends on our actions. On our part, we will try to fulfill during the trench. With the anniversary, we will be able to show that at the national level, it is possible to remember that we are developing, producing, but also we control emissions. And we will also support the BRICS. During Brazil's presidency, Brazil's BRICS presidency, we will continue to fight for We must remember that there are such important issues that are a priority for everyone. Us, we have great technological capabilities. We also have the ability not to exclude, but to include. And we need the voice of the people to be higher than the private sector. BRICS has been responsible for great economic growth in recent years. We are practically the majority of the country's population. We represent 36% of GDP and also GDP and also the possibility of purchasing. 76% of margins, graphite, and rare earth elements are located in our territories. This is a Marshall Plan, but on the contrary, when economies support the developed world in development, and the initiative of the BRICS creatures breaks this logic, and the creation of BRICS groups has increased in recent years. From 2003 to 2023, exports to the BRICS countries have increased 12 times. The Council, the Women's Council, which was created, also discusses the issue of granting different rights. In addition, when we talk about the banking system, we are discussing the possibility of creating a financial system that will reduce the costs for our commercial relations. The Development Bank celebrates 10 years this year. This bank, it also participates in the development of infrastructure that will allow us to develop. Under the leadership of Mrs. Dilma, the bank is considering more than 100 projects, more than $100 billion. When the bank was created, it was created to replace those banks that did not fulfill their intentions. And the National Bank, our bank, it is aimed at fulfilling the necessary goals that we need. It is now necessary to create alternative monetary relations between our countries. We are not talking about replacing our internal money. But when we talk about a multipolar world, we have to create a financial system. We should seriously discuss this topic. And technically, we can't wait any longer. We need to decide. Many people want to divide the world into friends and enemies, but those who are more in the sensitive sphere suffer. What do they want? They want jobs, they want food, they want quality health care, schools, a healthy lifestyle without climate tragedies, a world without weapons, without killing innocents. As President Erdogan said, the West Bank has become the largest cemetery in the world. Necessary. Now it was also happening in Palestine. Now it is moving to Lebanon. There is also a conflict between Russia and Ukraine. We have two wars going on right now that could take over the whole world, so we need to work together towards the goal. Ours will be the flag of our presidency. We will work in the field of unification, unification on equal rights. This is another one chapter of our work. Thank you very much, Mr. Putin, and all of our colleagues.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Brazil really accepts the BRICS presidency from us, and we will do our best to support you and make this transfer effective. We are sure that the leadership of the BRICS comes in safe hands. Thank you very much. And let me give the floor to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, please. Please, colleague. Your Excellency Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation. Your Excellency, the Head of State of Governments, distinguished delegates. I would like to express my gratitude from the bottom of my heart to President Putin for hosting this summit. And our meeting gives hope that we will achieve multilateralism and be able to solve the challenges that our world is facing today. We are new to the BRICS family, and we, Ethiopia, are ready to work constructively in the interests of the development of multilateralism and the development of developing countries on the principles of equality. The world is developing rapidly, and the world is facing numerous crises. Their solution requires wisdom and a thoughtful approach. Your Excellency, it is important to recognize that economic growth in developing countries is very often faced with an unfair global financial system. Imbalances in our economic framework in the world lead to inequality, inflation, and unemployment. And that is why collective efforts on our part are required more than ever. Calls to solve problems climatically to finance these solutions. They are not being paid attention to, although the crisis is deepening. And yet, when faced with these challenges, I see significant opportunities here within the framework of BRICS. The collective voice of the BRICS represents almost half of the global population and 1/3 of global GDP. BRICS has the potential to become a transformative force on the way to a more just world order. Your Excellency, trade within BRICS and investment, tourism, can lead to economic growth, from which not only our state members will benefit, but it will also serve as a model for cooperation and solidarity in solving global challenges. We must put our economy and potential at the service of this in order to achieve economic gains in the interests of our peoples. Consolidating cooperation using artificial intelligence. This is also important. I strongly support the proposals formulated by both President Putin and President Xi on this issue. Moreover, the urgent consideration of applications for membership in the BRICS and the new development bank will make it possible to create a system of alternative financing of infrastructure projects that are important for development. I believe that BRICS is in a unique position that allows it to achieve a multilateral, fair one. Versatility. We must proceed, find solutions to the concerns of developing countries, and their voice should be heard in the world. Heard in the world. Ethiopia, in particular. I would like to emphasize that the reform of the UN Security Council deserves our attention. We are confident that the countries represented at this summit will consider the issue of Africa's representation in the UN Security Council on a parity basis. And this is a common African position. And here it's not just about representation, it's about justice, about equality. In this way, all countries can contribute to global governance. Mr. President, Your Excellency, Ethiopia emphasizes the practical importance of our partnership, and this reflects the hope and potential that BRICS represents. Our country is the third largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa, and we have a young one. We have a young labor potential, and we have energy resources. And this opens up new opportunities for investment and trade as part of our macroeconomic reform. It opens up new doors for growth. Our Green Economy Initiative allows us to plant 6 billion trees within 6 years. And this underscores our commitment to sustainable economic development. Ethiopia is also committed to ensuring food security. We have become the largest grain producer thanks to our productivity. Our investments in smart cities emphasize that we are cultured, historically rich, and we are learning from the whole world. I once again call for economic cooperation within the framework of BRICS between all sectors, industry, energy, tourism, and, above all, artificial intelligence. And in conclusion, I want to assure you, Your Excellency, that Ethiopia is committed to actively participating in the realization of our common vision for a brighter future. Our partnership should not only solve today's problems, it should lay the foundation for achieving a more just and inclusive multilateral world. I thank you. Thank you very much, dear Mr. Prime Minister, for drawing attention to our priorities once again. And I give the floor to the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Mr. Narendra Modi.
Your Highness, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 16वें ब्रिक्स समिट के शानदार आयोजन के लिए मैं राष्ट्रपति पुतिन को हार्दिक बधाई।
I would like to thank President Putin for the excellent organization of this BRICS summit. Once again, I would like to welcome from the bottom of my heart all our new friends who have joined the BRICS. As part of the new expanded membership, Prince accounts for 40% of the world's population and 30% of the global economy. In the last almost 20 years, BRICS has been able to achieve a lot. I am confident that in the near future, this organization will become the most effective platform for solving global challenges. Friends, I would also like to welcome Euphorm Dil-March Rusev, who is the president of the New Development Bank. Over the past year, this bank has become an important opportunity to meet the development needs of the Global South. We in India support this. We also support regional centers in Africa and in Russia, which have supported the activities of this bank. Our development projects are worth $35 billion. And we will continue to work on the basis of a principle that responds to demand. And by expanding the bank, we must guarantee financial stability for the long term. We need to open access to the market, and this should be our priority. In this new expanded composition, friends, the BRICS has become an economy worth more than $30 trillion. The BRICS Business Council and the Women's Alliance play a special role in the development of our economic cooperation. This year we have achieved. A consensus was reached on TOE reforms. We talked about agriculture, supply chains, economic reforms, and all this should consolidate our economic cooperation. As part of this initiative, we should also focus on the interests of small and medium-sized enterprises. It is gratifying to note that the BRICS Startup Forum, chaired by BRICS, which took place in the 21st year, which was proposed to India in the 21st year, will be held this year. The initiative to create a research network, which was also formulated by the initiative, plays an important role in logistics and in their supply chains between the BRICS member countries. This year, a consensus was reached within the BRICS framework in cooperation with UNIDA regarding the training of a collectivized workforce. The BRICS Vaccine Research Center, which was established in the 22nd year, makes it possible to consolidate health security in all our countries. And we, India, are ready to share our experience in digital health with our BRICS partners. Climate change, friends, is a priority topic for all of us. And we welcome the consensus that was reached within the framework of the BRICS Open Carbon Market Partnership, under the chairmanship of Russia. There was a special emphasis on green growth, on the development of infrastructure, and the transition to a green economy. And India has come up with a number of initiatives, such as the Solar International Union and the Coalition to Combat Natural Disasters. Natural disasters. It's all for us. All this opens new doors for us. Last year, within the framework of the COP28, we put forward an important initiative called Green Credit. I invite BRICS partners to join this initiative. Special emphasis has been placed and is being placed on the creation of infrastructure in all BRICS member countries. In India, we have created a digital platform called Like You, Minds Portal, which allows you to quickly develop multimodal communications. This allowed them to create an integrated infrastructure. This helps us in planning and implementing. This reduces logistics costs. We are ready to share our experience with all of you. Friends, we welcome the efforts aimed at greater financial consolidation between the BRICS countries. Trade in local and national currencies and cross-border payments will only play into the hands of our cooperation. The Unified Interface for UP Payments, which was developed by India, is really a success story. And many countries adopted it last year. Together with His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, we implemented this in the OO. We are also ready to cooperate with other BRICS countries in this area. Friends, India is fully committed to developing cooperation within the framework of BRICS. We sincerely believe in our diversity and multipolarity. And this is our strength. And we believe in humanity. This will help us achieve a brighter future for our future generations. I thank everyone for participating in this important and valuable discussion. As the next BRICS chairman, I wish all the best to President Luli. India will support your presidency. Once again, I thank President Putin and all the leaders. Thank you very much, dear Mr. Prime Minister. We are all talking about the need to ensure high rates of economic growth. You are just succeeding. We congratulate you on these results. 7.5% growth is an example for many of us. And thank you for your initiatives. Thank you. Please give the floor to the President of Iran. In the name of the All-Merciful, Merciful Lord, dear Vladimir Putin, dear President of the Russian Federation, dear heads of BRICS member states, ladies and gentlemen, today, for the first time, we are holding an expanded BRICS meeting with new members of this association. We are striving for a new world order, more just and more secure. The period of one-sidedness is coming to an end. I prosperity and development can only be realized on the path defined in the Western directions. And I can say that the result of only such an approach by Western countries can only aggravate the situation in all corners of the world. And with great regret, I have to say that on parting. No Americans, I can say that they have contributed to the proliferation of conflicts as well as wars around the world. And this is the unleashing of different wars, different conflicts. And we are well aware of what is happening in Lebanon and Palestine right now. The formation, continuation, and expansion of BRICS over the past 15 years has become an opportunity for countries. and the world community not to link their fate solely with the desires and aspirations of Western powers, but on the way to a broader partnership in all, so to speak, spheres. In the first years after the formation of this group, some Western analysts considered the possibility that BRICS would become a serious player in the international arena. But, fortunately, today this group has actually established its role as an alternative path. It is expected that the BRICS will continue its path in the future with greater force. With the addition of new countries to the BRICS group, this group now represents a significant portion of developing countries and emerging markets for this reason. From now on, expectations are increasing from this group to make more nasty and at the same time more ambitious decisions. The efforts that have been made so far to reduce the dollar's dominance in the global economy should be strengthened and implemented through operational solutions, such as the creation of a BRICS currency basket or a new settlement mechanism independent of the dollar. Independent parties can no longer pay for the erroneous financial policies or inefficiency of the United States in the fight against organized corruption in their financial sector. Today, the world is facing many challenges in the field of food security, climate change, the debt crisis, and the separation of North and South, and many other problems. The mental solution to these problems, which have exposed developing countries and the global South to tension and damage more than anywhere else, should be accompanied by the active participation of these countries within the framework of the BRICS. The BRICS group should act more seriously to reflect unheard voices in the world community and effectively follow the BRICS dialogue mechanism with other parties. We believe in the BRICS ideal of reforming the governance of global multilateralism, matching peace, security, and inclusive economic growth, creating transparency and strengthening democracy in global financial institutions. The Islamic Republic of Iran will do everything possible to ensure that the BRICS group, far from politics and geopolitical conflicts, successfully promotes the task of reforming the structure of global economic and equitable governance and creating alternative opportunities for the development and prosperity of the southern countries. Institutions such as the new Development Bank, the Reserve Fund, if there are new members, should assume more responsibility in financing member projects as well as member countries, and solving the problem of payment imbalance. Each of the BRICS member countries should consider the process and development of other members as its own progress and development, and healthy competition, mutual cooperation. I think that creating an electronic platform for all members of the BRICS, in order to facilitate mutual trade processes between these parties, as well as reducing dependence on global, so to speak, dominance in the field of trade. We need to think about how we can improve the system of mutual settlements based on national currencies. And we are also well aware that we should not continue to depend on Western payment systems. This is a big threat to the affairs of all countries. Maybe not today, but tomorrow. In conclusion, while appreciating the hospitality and extensive efforts of the people and the Russian government to hold this summit and fulfill the burden of the BRICS presidency in the 24th year, I once again consider it necessary to emphasize that comprehensive global economic prosperity and development can be achieved only in conditions of peace and public security. What we are witnessing today in Palestine and Lebanon is the deepening of the foundations of war and violence, due to the disregard of the basic rights of people who want nothing but the right to sovereignty of their ancestral lands. The continuation of this situation will undoubtedly put the world at risk of spreading instability and war. Therefore, I ask all distinguished members of the valuable and influential BRICS group, I ask you to use all your collective and individual capabilities to achieve a change in this situation and ensure the right of the Palestinian people. Thank you all very much. I hope to see you again. Thank you, Mr. President. You said a very important thing. Our task is to ensure cooperation, broad cooperation, in the interests of most countries of the world. Of course, this is what we are going and working for. Thank you very much. Please give the floor to the President of the Republic of South Africa. Please. Your Excellency, Mr. President Vladimir Putin. Your Excellency, distinguished leaders of the BRICS countries, distinguished ministers, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me express my gratitude to President Vladimir Putin and the people of the Russian Federation for organizing the 16th BRICS Summit in this beautiful city of Kazan. It is important that the BRICS Summit takes place in a city that is so rich in cultural heritage and diversity. As we enter a new chapter in the history of the BRICS in an expanded format, we have adopted new countries that are rich in their cultures and traditions. Our history, the history of the BRICS countries, is a history of solidarity, a history of mutual respect and mutual benefit. BRICS is an inclusive group of countries that intend to change the trajectory of development of the Global South. To do this, we must fully realize the potential of our economic partnership in order to ensure sustainable development for everyone, not just for individual groups of countries. We must take decisive steps to build shared prosperity, equal for all. Like most countries of the world, the Republic of South Africa is making efforts to ensure the sustainability of supply chains, trade, tourism, and financial flows that would not depend on external influence in a multipolar world. Working together, the BRICS family has an important role to play in addressing the key challenges of the Global South by building partnerships with emerging economies and markets. We hope to hear reports from our finance ministers and central bank governors on the use of national currencies in international trade and financial transactions among the BRICS countries and their trade partners. A few days ago, BRICS business representatives gathered in Moscow under the chairmanship of the BRICS Business Council. During the event, specific opportunities for the development of trade between our countries were discussed. The Republic of South Africa believes that such activities aimed at achieving practical results play a key role in achieving national development priorities and ensuring inclusive economic growth. We believe that inclusive growth is, among other things, recognition of the priority of a business run by women. We recognize the work done by the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. It adds significant value to our efforts to ensure growth and development, as we search for new solutions in the field of sustainable development. It is necessary to recognize the challenges posed by climate change. It is necessary to recognize the devastating consequences that it has for the life of our countries. The Republic of South Africa remains committed to a fair transition to a low-carbon economy. We are committed to reducing global emissions, guided by the principles of shared differentiated responsibilities, as well as respect for our national capacities and abilities. Countries with developing economies are seriously affected by the effects of climate change, but they bear the least blame for the current climate crisis. It is therefore imperative that industrialized countries meet their climate commitments in order to ensure a fair and equitable transition. It is important that climate action does not exacerbate the problem of inequality or hinder the development of the countries of the Global South. In order to achieve the goal and strategy of the BRICS economic partnership until the 25th year, it is necessary to consider various ways to use the opportunities to solve the challenges faced by small, medium-sized enterprises operating in the BRICS countries. It is necessary to increase cooperation among the BRICS countries by launching common development programs in the field of exports, industrial cooperation, and technology exchange. We call for the calibration and modification of trade routes to ensure more sustainable industrialization, and reform of the World Trade Organization is also needed. It is necessary to consider the cooperation of the BRICS countries in the field of mineral resources and tracking the sources of production and mineral resources. This plays a big role for the development and achievement of the goal of reducing the carbon footprint of our economies. The new development bank as an international structure plays an important role in this. The bank is necessary to achieve the common aspirations of our group and to achieve the goals of our developing economies as a whole. We highly appreciate the work that is being carried out and the progress that is being achieved by the new development bank, under the brilliant leadership of our dear sister, Mrs. Dilma Rousseff. Her work is a brilliant example of the value of the BRICS group, because in this way we support the growth and development of the countries of the Global South. And this is our strength. As we increase our development, it is also necessary not to forget about the issues of peace and security. The ongoing conflicts around the world are of serious concern. The ongoing conflicts in the Gaza Strip in the Middle East are leading to the death of many Palestinians, and this is a matter of serious concern. It is necessary to strongly advocate for a ceasefire, which should enter into force immediately. It is also necessary to recognize the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination. We have made progress on a number of issues. The progress made should inspire us to strive for more. In addition, BRICS should become a more effective tool for ensuring global peace and global progress at all levels, in all spheres, in the economy and beyond. Thank you. Thank you very much. Dear Mr. President, thank you for drawing attention to the peculiarities and challenges for the Global South. Of course, we all agree that it is necessary to fight climate change, but we cannot disagree with you that no one should be allowed to use this for some selfish interests and in the interests of some groups or individual states. Thank you very much. Once again, please, I give the floor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the United Arab Emirates. Dear Mr. President, Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are meeting today at a time when we are all thinking about ways to develop the future. We are cooperating not only to counter current challenges, but also to draw up a roadmap for a more sustainable, stronger economy of the future, capable of countering challenges based on innovations that form the basis for the future development of the economy. Today, it is obvious to everyone that economic development is connected not only with traditional sources, but also with our capabilities in the field of innovative technologies, rethinking the possibility of using existing ones. The available potential. The economy today requires new ones. A new movement, a new impulse, requires discussion of ways forward for prosperity and sustainable development, and at the same time, a fair distribution of resources. Ladies and gentlemen, the UAE believes that the modern economy should be flexible, should attract innovative technologies, should and innovation. It should be open to the world. And at the same time, we understand that success is not based solely on despite the current situation, but it will be ensured by ensuring the interests of future generations. EC is proud of the fact that we have made serious progress in a number of sectors, such as technological areas, the logistics sector, we also support leading initiatives in the international arena in order to create platforms for promoting dialogue on the green economy, sustainable development, and investment. The green economy today represents one of the foundations for achieving sustainable development. In the UAE, we are striving to make progress in this direction. O has invested in major projects in renewable energy sources, such as solar energy, wind energy, in order to make more efficient use of natural energy sources and natural resources. It's part of our vision to achieve a more sustainable future, Taking into account climate change, the UAE Strategic Cooperation Agreement also creates new opportunities for the development of an innovative economy. It's also another one of ours. Our priority, including in the economy and in foreign policy, is to open new markets, attract investment, and invest our national funds. We are interested in expanding cooperation and partnership with other countries in order to in order to ensure sustainable development. Therefore, we are working to expand our partnerships, especially those based on cooperation in the innovation sphere and interaction in the green economy. Ladies and gentlemen, at the conclusion of our meeting today, headed by President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin, I would like to confirm that the final declaration to be adopted will be an important step, a very important step, in order to strengthen our cooperation, establish a universally recognized framework for countering future challenges, and achieving our common goals. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The United Arab Emirates takes a very responsible approach to solving our common tasks. We had the opportunity and pleasure to talk about this in detail with the President of the United Arab Emirates during his recent visit to Moscow. Thank you. I give the floor to the President of the New Development Bank, Mrs. Dilmirov.
Meus cumprimentos ao presidente da Federação Russa, Vladimir Putin, pela sua calorosa.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin for his words of welcome and for the excellent organization of the BRICS Summit, as well as for allowing us to thank him for a very good reception, and especially for the implementation of such a meeting in Kazan. I welcome all presidents, chiefs of state, ministers, prime ministers, ladies and gentlemen, the last. There will be big meetings and big events for the next months. After the central bank in New York reduced its taxes, the whole world has been subjected to the same processes. And again, we see that these are the policies that are being adopted. They predominate in comparison with other policies of other countries. And we depend on the projection of the path of those policies that are applied in the United States. In other words, it shows that we lack control over our own areas of the economy and currency exchange. In Europe, the economy is very sensitive, and very opposite winds also affect this continent. And last week, for the last time, Europe's tax policy also came into force. In other words, growth is not expected, but at the same time, in Asia, in the East, in Africa, and in Latin America, especially in Asian countries, and they are the answer. These countries are responsible for the growth and improvement of the economic situation of their peoples. When we talk about geopolitics, the very difficult, dramatic situation of Palestine is the main point that concerns us, because the deaths of women and children are the only explanation for this destruction. The complexity of this region also affects transport and international logistics. Thus, a complex geopolitical situation. It is also complicated by the fact that the dollar is used as a weapon to change the living conditions of the population, and that also affects the international system, that is, trust and its integrity.
также
do sistema
влияет
financeiro
на
internacional, que é a
международную
confiança e a
систему,
integridade.
то есть на доверие и
Assim sendo, é
ее
nesse quadro
целостность.
And taking all this into account,
Принимая
we develop our own,
все
take our
это, мы
actions.
разрабатываем наши, принимаем наши действия.
During the first months in our bank, it was difficult enough.
Трудно
At that time, there was no liquidity in the bank. After 15 months without access, we received a receipt, and it was very important.
fora do mercado dos pandas bonds, que foram bastante importantes
мы
para o banco.
получили поступление,
Ocorreu
и
durante
это
a
было очень
pandemia da
It
важно.
happened during
Во
COVID-19.
время COVID-19
Since the 2023 year of our bank, we have begun to take measures to overcome these difficulties. We identified how to raise investments, mobilize resources, and in April of the 23rd year, we returned to the market, and this return helped us to understand our risk situations and evaluate other situations. Since the moment of the new development bank, we have entered different markets in Hong Kong dollars, dollars in Americans, and Hans South Africa. We have conducted operations in different operations, reserves of more than $12 billion.
Американцев и hence ЮАР мы
em diversas
в
operações de
разных
captação.
операциях, резервах провели операции больше 12 миллиардов долларов.
And in fact, we are using diversity strategies. Using local monetary systems, we are also reducing costs, and we are thus trying to establish our system.
Мы также уменьшаем затраты и мы таким образом пытаемся установить нашу систему.
And by 45 units, when we give the loan rate in dollars, and we are also working, continuing in this direction.
Ставка в долларах, и мы также работаем, продолжаем в этом направлении.
In addition, our costs are also decreasing. The cost of our loans is decreasing. That is, we are on the right track.
На правильном пути.
In addition, we were able to support many contracts and signed new financing contracts and expanded the payline system. The so-called our Bank 24th 25th year, we envisaged a flow of projects from 39 to 40 projects, starting with infrastructure, transport, clean electricity, water efficiency and sanitation projects, and also digital more $10 million.
Чистой электроэнергии, эффективности воды и
Social e digital,
санитарных проектов и также цифровых более 10 миллионов долларов.
And to date, we have funded 26 and $5 billion. Starting from our very beginning, we have funded 101 projects about.
Мы 101 проект профинансировали.
The new development bank provides and wants to concentrate on financing in national monetary units.
На финансирование в национальных денежных единицах.
This is very important for us to increase our funding opportunity.
Для финансирования.
This is our strategy from the 22nd to the 26th year. There it was stated as a goal that 30% of the financing should use its national monetary unit.
Свою национальную денежную единицу.
To date, we have used 28 and 3% of our countries.
8,3%.
Therefore, in other words, we are almost reaching our goal of 30%.
Доходим до нашей цели 30%.
Why? Because it is very important to promote new technologies, promote new platforms, financing when using national monetary units.
Использование национальных денежных единиц.
And this approach, in addition to the fact that it is important, that it guarantees our financial independence, and also that finances will reflect the importance of our countries in commerce and investment.
Важность наших стран в коммерции и инвестициях.
It also provides for the creation of a cash flow. use the national currency instead of the dollar, and the payment financing will be used in the international dollar.
И финансирование оплаты будет использоваться международным долларом.
And this is from sources, which is usually the reason for the debts of the global south.
Обычно является причиной задолженностей глобального юга.
And the new system creates protection, also protects taxes, interest rates.
Также защищает налоги, процентные.
Ladies and gentlemen, the positive results that have been achieved over the past semesters allow us to reduce costs. The cost of loans for our participating countries, and what has become possible after a long period of time.
Наших стран-участников и то, что стало возможно после долгого периода времени.
The cheaper we get the money, the more we allow our finances to be used to prioritize contracts.
Использовать наши финансы для приоритетов контрактов.
In addition, one of the priority issues is the expansion of the bank's participants.
Участников в банке.
It also allows us to create a more stable system of our bank, and also allows us to create a financial structure that provides for multipolarity and enhances this dynamic development.
Усматривает многополярность и усиливает это динамическое развитие.
In 2023-24 year, our bank received various consultations, contacted us at the bank, that is, it confirms that the practical application of our bank is very important for the countries of the global south.
Для стран глобального юга.
And at the last meeting of the bank's management, we are finishing the entry, the process of Algeria's entry into the bank.
Процесс вступления Алжира в банк.
In addition, we have also developed a system to become a knowledge center in this direction.
Стать центром знаний в этом направлении.
We have introduced various discussions on the stable development and use of the currencies of the participating countries, with the use of platform technologies to provide financial conditions more favorable for developing countries, for new markets.
Финансовых условиях более выгодных для развивающих стран и для новых рынков.
Therefore, this is our goal, this is our compromise, to develop new, innovative financing platforms using domestic national currencies.
Финансирование с использованием внутренних национальных
In addition, it is also very important at that time that we share our opinion.
делимся мнением.
I would especially like to tell you about overcoming energy problems and also use this overcoming in a positive way.
Также использовать это преодоление в позитивную сторону.
And I am glad to tell you that despite all that we sometimes have doubts, but we have moved forward, and recently we have made very important steps.
Двинулись вперед, и за последнее время мы сделали очень важные шаги.
This does not mean that we are satisfied with what we have achieved.
Добились,
This only shows what we can do and what we are getting.
что мы можем и что у нас получается.
Fulfilling our roles, our role in supporting our BRICS countries, and increasing our financial capabilities, especially using the national currency platform, providing the necessary resources as needed.
Платформу национальной валюты, предоставление необходимых ресурсов в соответствии с необходимостью.
We understand that the countries have a lot of problems to fight with in different directions of energy transition, security more stable, so that we achieve our results for this multipolar world. Thank you very much.
Чтобы мы достигли свои результаты за этот многополярный мир. Большое спасибо.
Thank you very much, dear Mrs. Rusev. You said that the dollar is used as a weapon. Yes, indeed, we see it that way in reality. I think this is a big mistake of those who do this, because the use of the dollar. And it is still the most important tool in global finance as a means of achieving political goals, undermines confidence in this currency, and reduces its capabilities. But we don't do it, other people do it. We do not refuse, we do not fight with the dollar. But if we are not allowed to work with it, what should we do? We are then forced to look for other alternatives, which is what happens. While striving for cooperation, I think we should understand that the longer we live and work according to someone else's rules, and on someone else's platforms, the longer this transition to a new and fairer economic financial system will last. And this may be accompanied by major shocks, including those that we are observing, in particular, in the Middle East. But we will talk about this with our colleagues. Thank you very much for your work. Thank you. And let me give the floor to the chairman of the BRICS Business Council, Mr. Kazan. Thank you, dear Vladimir Vladimirovich. Dear heads of state and government. Dear participants of the meeting. This year, the BRICS Business Council has continued to actively promote flagship initiatives aimed at strengthening the BRICS partnership. I would like to note that in our work, we tried, first of all, to preserve the continuity of the story of our Business Council, and secondly, to supplement it with new relevant initiatives in accordance with the requests that came to us from the business community of our countries. At the same time, priority attention was paid to the harmonious integration of representatives of the new BRICS member states into our work. The culmination of our agenda was the large-scale BRICS Business Forum held in Moscow on October 18th this year, which was attended by over 1,000 representatives of the business community of the countries of the association. The work was carried out within the framework of 4 panel sessions, which covered almost all relevant areas of business cooperation. Within the framework of the forum, the winners of the BRICS International Best Practices Competition and the BRICS Women's Startup Competition were also awarded. The main results of the forum and the proposals developed by the BRICS Business Council formed the basis of the annual report, which we submit for your consideration in accordance with the established procedure as the main result of our work for the year. In this document, we have included 46 recommendations for further development of cooperation. In the context of the following main areas: infrastructure, transport and logistics, financial services, investment, agriculture, international cooperation, trade, digital economy and artificial intelligence, energy, green economy and climate, aviation, industry, professional training. Taking into account the high importance of transport development as a primary condition for expanding international trade, much attention was paid in the work of the Council to the strengthening of transport and logistics interconnectedness, the development of international transport corridors, the development of modern intermodal logistics solutions, and the creation of a seamless transport infrastructure. The second priority block of issues, which formed the core of the Business Council's agenda this year, is related to the formation of a stable BRICS financial system. In this regard, much attention was paid to the development within the framework of BRICS of new mechanisms for international settlements, payment services, the compilation of BRICS credit ratings, as well as the development of cooperation of insurance markets. The third priority area that the BRICS Business Council has been working on for a year is the development of the digital economy, as well as cooperation in the field of artificial intelligence. In this context, the efforts of the Business Council were aimed at promoting initiatives that contribute to the creation of a unified digital infrastructure, the joint use of biometric identification systems, the development of information security, and digital inclusiveness. In addition, the issues of improving food security, cooperation in the field of investment, sustainable development, as well as ensuring the technological sovereignty of the BRICS, occupied an important place on the agenda of the Business Council. Dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, dear heads of state and government, today, in the context of the existing political and economic transformations, we still see serious aspirations, of the BRICS business circles for further joint actions to build and deepen business contacts. Search for new drivers of economic growth for the benefit of strengthening ties between our countries. Improving the quality of life and well-being of citizens of the BRICS member state. Based on the experience of the Business Council this year, it is safe to say that the BRICS business communities, chambers of commerce and industry, international trade development committees, industry unions and associations of entrepreneurs, firms and companies, are ready to work constructively to improve world economic relations for fair and mutually beneficial cooperation. In conclusion, I would like to say, dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, dear heads of state and government, that the BRICS Business Council aims to further fully promote the development and realization of the potential of economic cooperation of the association, guided by the principle of continuity, openness, mutual trust, respect, and consideration of the interests of each party. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. As you know, I recently spoke to members of the Business Council in Moscow. It seemed to me that all the entrepreneurs of our countries are determined to actively work together, to have direct contacts with each other, and we will do everything possible to promote this. Thank you. Please give the floor to the chairman of the BRICS Interbank Cooperation Mechanism, Mr. Shuvalev. Dear leaders, ladies and gentlemen, dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, development banks are recognized to assist governments and peoples to overcome challenges, moving towards a more just world order. Recognized as our partner in the BRICS Interbank Cooperation Mechanism, we are grateful to them for their active joint meaningful work, the year of the chairmanship of the FPRF. Among the topics that were worked out by the members of the mechanism, I will name the main ones. These are trade financing in national currencies, innovative mechanisms for financing infrastructure projects, in particular, the so-called mixed financing, the formation of voluntary markets for carbon units of the BRICS member countries, and interaction with financing and development institutions, primarily with the new development bank. As has been repeatedly stated today at the Business Forum, Mr. President, you have stressed that the economies of the association will generate the main increase in global GDP in the foreseeable future. Of course, this requires its own development platform, including a strong and unaffected financial system. A special role in strengthening our financial cooperation here belongs to the new development bank. This was also discussed today. This bank also took part in the Interbank Cooperation Mechanism's events. We are ready to work on further deepening both multilateral and bilateral ties with partner financial institutions. We have agreed on an updated framework agreement on cooperation with the parties and also, together with China and South Africa, signed an agreement on credit lines in national currencies. We expect Brazil and India to join this document. In addition, we have started work on expanding the format by nominating organizations from new BRICS member states. Unfortunately, at the moment only Iran has presented Milbank, one of the strongest banks in Iran. In order for it to participate in this format, let me appeal to the leaders of the new BRICS member countries to nominate such organizations, possibly in a short time, so that the mechanism works in full, especially in the year of Brazil's presidency. The exchange of experience between banks and members of the BRICS in the field of organization of mixed financing was at the center of our work. The VP of the Russian Federation presented its main product, a project financing factory program. We believe that the exchange of mixed financing practices, when different funding sources are used, will improve the prospects for the implementation of joint projects by members of the mechanism in a multilateral format. The scale of the challenges we face clearly indicates that we need to combine efforts to implement, first of all, cross-border projects in such areas as transport infrastructure and high-tech industry. Together with the Ministry of Economic Development of Russia, we plan to develop cooperation on tools for assessing the quality of life and the effectiveness of projects, including in the field of public-private partnership at the level of the BRICS countries. The development of public-private partnership mechanisms is a traditional mandate of development banks in the world. In the format of our association, we could think not only about sharing best practices, but also about expanding the practice of implementing PP projects with the participation of businesses from friendly countries, and with the participation of development banks of member countries. This work can also be carried out under the leadership of the new Development Bank. An important agenda uniting the BRICS countries is the issue of sustainable development and, in particular, the joint implementation of projects that help national economies adapt to climate change. At the same time, the members of the mechanism are united in understanding that achieving the goal of carbon neutrality cannot run counter to other priorities of sustainable development, namely, increasing the quality and standard of living of people, energy, food security, access to drinking water, inclusiveness of education. As the main Russian Institute of Finance and Development, we are promoting the movement towards carbon neutrality, together with our partners, and look forward to broad cooperation with other institutions of finance and development. Within the framework of BRICS+, the countries of the association have a great potential for the implementation of natural and climatic projects. Our economy is the largest energy producers and at the same time its largest consumers. This opens up significant prospects for the formation of a common voluntary market for carbon units. In order to move in this direction, it is necessary to develop the concept of creating such a market, rules, procedures, and the order of its functioning. During the presidency, we have taken only the first steps in this direction. We are ready to continue such cooperation, including during the upcoming COP29 conference in Azerbaijan. The FPRF is open to expanding cooperation within the framework of the BRICS. We have accumulated extensive experience in the implementation of urban economy projects, the construction of modern schools, the modernization of urban transport, energy facilities, water supply, housing, and communal services. We are ready to share this expertise with our partners. In conclusion, let me welcome the Brazilian Development Bank BVAT as the chairman of the Interbank Cooperation Mechanism BRICS. In 2025 year, we express our readiness to provide worldwide support and assistance to BVAT within the framework of its chairmanship. Thank you. We wish you success and thank you for your work, as this is the most important area of our activity. Banks provide blood in the global economy, in the economies of the member countries and the BRICS. Thank you again for your work, and indeed, I wish success to your Brazilian and our partners. Please give the floor to the chairman of the BRICS Women's Business Alliance, Mrs. Anya Nestorova.
Dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, dear heads of BRICS states, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to present today the main results of the work of the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. In the year of the Russian presidency, 4 years have passed since the launch of the alliance in the 2020th year. During this time, thanks to the joint efforts of all national units, it has become a truly effective mechanism of cooperation, business cooperation between women entrepreneurs. The alliance unites representatives of industry and agriculture, the financial sector, the pharmaceutical industry, information technology, science and creative industries, 6 industry working groups, as well as the expert dialogue firm G launched in the year of the Russian presidency, are working on the implementation of joint initiatives and projects. In the 24th year, one of their main tasks was to ensure the fastest and most comfortable inclusion of representatives of new countries in the Alliance's agenda. And here the launch of our key project, the Alliance's unified digital platform, which has been working on since 2021 year, helped in many ways. On this portal, women entrepreneurs can get all the necessary information about the alliance itself, ongoing projects, initiatives, identify their business interests, and establish direct business contacts with partners from other countries, become part of a large business cooperation within the framework of BRICS. The platform has already united over 2,000 entrepreneurs from 30 countries. In addition, it has become a showcase for more than 1,000 women's projects and initiatives. This year, for the first time, we held a competition for women's business startups, which was attended by over 1,000 women from 29 countries of the world. High-tech, innovative projects accounted for a large share of the applications received for the competition. The contest demonstrated that women manifest themselves in a variety of fields. Here are just some examples. So, women from Iran have developed systems of continuous glucose monitoring and innovative therapy based on immune cells to fight cancer have created smart spoons to relieve tremor. A woman from China produces unique robotic arms and humanoid robots, which have no analogs in the whole world. Women from Russia have invented programs for analyzing and interpreting the results of court, MRI, and other diagnostic images, created a photonic endoscope for cancer treatment, and developed remote cardiac monitoring technology. The participants posted their projects on the Alliance platform, where they will be able to find business partners, investments, and most importantly, scale their experience. We will continue working with the projects of the winners first of all, because we see them as the necessary basis for the implementation of multilateral projects initiatives. We have combined all these projects into a separate collection dedicated to the results of the competition. Women's entrepreneurial initiative manifests itself in the most diverse way, but, of course, there are areas in which the presence of women traditionally prevails, including social entrepreneurship, where it is a question of solving or mitigating social problems. This year, the Alliance has successfully studied the experience of 10 BRICS countries in the field of the care economy, which includes the infrastructure of care for the sick, children, the elderly, and people with disabilities. The result of this study was a white paper on the economics of nursing, which combined about 100 best practices, including in terms of removing administrative barriers for women and promoting their professional implementation in this area. The document is published on the Alliance platform, with the possibility of updating and supplementing. We intend to continue this work. In addition, this year the Alliance has once again prepared and released a report on the status of women in BRICS, with an overview of the current state and progress in the development of women's entrepreneurship in the 10 countries. The report has been issued annually on the initiative of the Chinese side since the 22nd year. We observe a high interest of foreign partners in building cooperation with the Alliance and the BRICS women's business community. In response to it, last year, on the initiative of our South African friends, the country centers of the Women's Business Alliance were opened in Zambia, Zimbabwe, or the 100th Mozambique. In the year of the Russian presidency, we continued this initiative and launched the work of the regional offices of the Alliance in the Kyrgyz Republic, the Republic of Belarus, and the Republic of Kazakhstan. We are confident that the geography of such Alliance representative offices will only expand. Their work is primarily aimed at building partnerships with women entrepreneurs from non-BRICS countries, finding common ground, and, most importantly, opportunities for the implementation of joint projects and initiatives. In the spirit of continuity, we continue to implement the initiatives launched last year. In particular, we are working on creating a network of BRICS labor and educational mobility centers. The first center was opened in South Africa in 2023. This year, centers were opened in Ethiopia and India. Separately, the possibility of creating a BRICS fund to promote women's projects is being discussed with partners, including the new development bank. Women's business, as a rule, these are small and medium-sized businesses, for which the issues of financing and attracting investments at the development stage are quite acute. And, of course, we hope to launch a tool that will allow such projects to receive the necessary financial support. Many initiatives have been announced for the first time this year. Among them is the initiative to create a platform for dialogue of women professionals in the field of law, the organization of thematic pharmaceutical clusters for the development and production of innovative medicines, the initiative for cooperation in the field of prevention of chronic non-communicable diseases, the creation of the BRICS Healthcare Media Platform, the development of the exchange of best practices in the field of women's health. We will work on their implementation. This year, the traditional formats of meetings on the sidelines were held for the Alliance. The Forum of Women Entrepreneurs by Foru in Brazil, the BRICS Women's Leadership Forum in China, the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, and the Eurasian Women's Forum in Russia. A new format was launched. In June, Moscow hosted the first BRICS Women's Entrepreneurship Forum, which was attended by over 400 delegates from 30 countries of the world. All the events of the Alliance were held with the active participation of representatives of not only the 10 BRICS countries, but also other states. All participants were united by their interest in our work. the BRICS Business Cooperation Agenda, and their intentions to achieve concrete business results. On the table, there is evidence of strengthening cooperation and building an equal partnership dialogue between representatives of the founding countries and new BRICS members. We have combined all the results of our work and information about key projects in the annual report of the Women's Alliance, which we have the honor to present to you today. Dear leaders of the BRICS countries, attracting the number of women entrepreneurs and involving them in international activities is a task that the BRICS Business Women's Alliance has always set itself. And today, in addition to 9 national parks, there are thousands of projects and 2,000 women entrepreneurs behind this name, united by a common interest in working in and with BRICS. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. For my part, on behalf of my colleagues, I want to thank you for the work done, and we will do everything to ensure that your achievements with women entrepreneurs of our countries are implemented, and I hope that the Brazilian presidency will continue your work. Now I want to turn to my colleagues if there is a need to say something further or comment. No. Thank you. Then let me say a few words at the top of our work. I would like to thank you once again for a very informative presentation and an active, interested conversation. We discussed in detail the priority issues of strengthening strategic partnership within the framework of BRICS, outlined prospects for further cooperation, and spoke firm common or consonant positions on most pressing global and regional issues. It is fundamentally important that all BRICS partners are determined to continue working very closely together to form a more democratic, inclusive, and multipolar international system. We are united by the understanding that together we are able to implement the most ambitious and truly large-scale projects and initiatives. The reports of the heads of BRICS financial and business structures were very interesting. Russia, as a co-founder of the new development bank, stands for further expansion of its project activities, both in all shareholder countries, without exception, and in the states of the Global South and East. We support the active work of the BRICS Business Council, which is engaged in the development of cooperation between large businesses, as well as small and medium-sized companies of our countries in the field of trade, industry, agriculture, energy, and transport. We consider it important to cooperate within the framework of the BRICS Interbank mechanism, aimed at joint support of socially significant economic projects, regional development programs, and infrastructure construction. An urgent task is to stimulate the use of national currencies to finance trade and investment. And, of course, our general approval of the activities of the BRICS Women's Business Alliance, which was created in order to help the best part of humanity in promoting business, establishing contacts, and implementing promising initiatives. In general, serious results have been achieved in the cooperation of the BRICS countries this year. Sanctions managed to advance in all 3 main directions, in politics and security, economics and finance, cultural and humanitarian contacts. This is a good start for the future. A final declaration has been prepared for our approval, which contains general assessments of the state of affairs in the world, summarizes the results of the Russian BRICS presidency, and defines guidelines for cooperation in the long term. I would like to ask my colleagues again if there are any objections or comments to this declaration. If not, then I propose to consider the declaration adopted. As already, yes, and I want to note that we plan to distribute it to the UN as our common joint document. As already noted, Brazil will assume the presidency of the BRICS from January next year. I am confident that the Brazilian presidency will ensure continuity in the work of the association and at the same time enrich our cooperation with new interesting initiatives and ideas. We will all support our Brazilian friends in every possible way. And in conclusion, I would like to thank you once again for your constructive and productive joint work, and I would like to declare the meeting of the expanded BRICS Summit closed. Tomorrow, we are going to hold a meeting in the BRICS Plus outreach format, within which we will discuss topical issues of interaction of our association with many other countries of the world majority. And tonight, I invite you to take part in the reception, to which the delegations that have come to participate in tomorrow's joint meeting are also invited. The time before the reception is supposed to be used for bilateral meetings. Thank you again for working together. Thank you very much.